This video is about Isis ascends to the horizon of the Nile until Seth's treachery strikes. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. In the age when gods roamed the earth in radiant splendor and mortals struggled beneath their celestial shadows, the lush banks of the Nile cradled the heart of Egypt. The river, a shimmering serpent of life, flowed with secrets, the whispers of ancient deities echoing along its banks. Among those deities stood Isis, the goddess of magic and motherhood, revered as the beacon of hope and protector of the realm. On the eve of the summer solstice, the skies blazed with crimson hues, a portent of change. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows that danced like phantoms across the fertile ground. The sacred priests gathered in the temple of Karnak, their chant a sonorous prayer that rose to the heavens, calling forth Isis to bless the land with fertility and abundance. The faithful were restless, for the crops had withered, and the Nile had receded, leaving desolation in its wake. Isis, adorned in a gown of shimmering gold, materialized before her followers, her eyes alight with divine purpose. "Fear not, my children," she proclaimed, her voice resonating like a gentle breeze. "The Nile will rise again, and its waters will flow with life, but first I must seek the truth hidden in the shadows of Ra's light." With a graceful gesture, she beckoned the waters of the Nile to rise, and they swelled, momentarily reflecting the brilliance of the evening star. Yet, unbeknownst to Isis, lurking in the shadows was Seth, the god of chaos and darkness, who had long desired the throne of the heavens. He watched with eyes like molten amber, a storm brewing within him. Seth, with his jagged crown of horns and a heart twisted by envy, had sworn an oath to resist the reign of order established by his brother Osiris and the benevolent goddess. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the world into twilight, Seth plotted his treachery. He approached the desolate heart of the desert where the sands swelled like ghostly whispers. "Tonight I shall unleash my fury upon the Nile," he snarled, his voice a low rumble that echoed across the sands. With a wave of his hand, he summoned a tempest, the winds howling like vengeful spirits, ready to engulf the land in chaos. Isis, sensing the disturbance, summoned her loyal companion, Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing. "Thoth, the balance of the world is threatened. I need your counsel," she implored, her voice a blend of urgency and determination. Thoth, with his ibis head and keen intellect, nodded solemnly. "The weaver of fate has spun a perilous thread. We must confront Seth before his darkness spreads." United in purpose, they set forth to the edge of the desert, where the winds howled like tormented souls. As they crossed the threshold from life to desolation, the sun disappeared entirely, leaving only the pale glow of the moon to guide them. It was there, amidst the swirling sands, that they encountered Seth, who stood atop a mound of shifting dunes, his presence a tempest of shadows. Isis, the nurturing goddess, come to plead for mercy. Seth mocked, his laughter echoing like thunder across the barren landscape. "You seek to preserve the Nile, but I shall sunder its banks and drown your dreams beneath a tide of darkness." Isis stood tall, her resolve unyielding against the tempest that sought to consume her spirit. "You may think yourself a master of chaos, Seth, but in your heart lies only fear. The Nile has blessed this land for millennia, and I will not let you extinguish its light." With a fierce cry, Seth unleashed a whirlwind of sand and stone, a storm forged from his malignant will. The gusts whipped around Isis and Thoth, threatening to tear them apart. Yet, with a wave of her hand, Isis conjured a protective barrier, shimmering like a shield of stars. "You cannot hide behind your darkness forever, brother," she declared, her voice cutting through the storm like a beacon of hope. "The light of the Nile shall prevail, and I shall stand as its guardian." Fueled by her conviction, Isis called upon the essence of the Nile, summoning forth phantoms of ancient warriors, spirits that had once fought to protect the land. As they emerged, the wind stilled momentarily, and the sands parted to reveal the mighty Anubis, the jackal-headed god of the afterlife, standing resolute beside her. "Together, we shall battle the tide of chaos," Anubis proclaimed, his voice echoing with the weight of ages. "For the balance of life and death is sacred, and Seth's ambition must be curtailed." Seth, momentarily taken aback by the resurgence of the phantoms, snarled, "You think your numbers can best my chaos? I am the fury of storms and the harbinger of despair." With that, he conjured forth monstrous beings, creatures born of shadow and strife. They rose from the desert sands, their forms grotesque and twisted, eyes blazing with malice. The air crackled with anticipation, a cauldron of tension ready to erupt. Isis rallied her spirits, their ethereal forms shimmering like silver in the moonlight. "Warriors of the Nile, to me," she cried, her voice a clarion call that resonated through the night. They surged forward, a tide of light against the encroaching darkness, clashing with Seth's monstrous creations. The battlefield erupted into chaos, a swirling maelstrom of light and shadow. Anubis fought valiantly alongside Isis, his staff glowing with the power of the afterlife as he struck down the vile shades that sought to overwhelm them. Thoth, ever the strategist, guided their movements, weaving through the chaos like a masterful conductor leading an orchestra. Now, Isis, he urged as monsters converged upon them, channel the river essence, let its power flow through you. In that moment, Isis closed her eyes, summoning the energy of the Nile. She felt the pulse of the river, the lifeblood of the land coursing through her veins. With a fierce cry, she unleashed a torrent of radiant energy, a wave that surged forth like the mighty Nile itself, sweeping away the darkness. Yet, in the midst of the battle, Seth, fueled by rage, tapped into a deeper well of power. With a roar that shook the heavens, he unleashed a cataclysmic wave of chaos that crashed against Isis' light. The two forces clashed, illuminating the desert night with a blinding brilliance that rivaled the sun. But amidst the chaos, Seth's treachery revealed itself. As the battle raged on, he conjured a rift, an abyss that threatened to swallow all light. "You cannot win, sister, I shall consume your light and rule the void," he thundered, laughter mingling with despair as the rift pulsed ominously. In that moment, Thoth's wisdom shone through the turmoil. "We must unite our powers, Isis, only together can we confront Seth's treachery," he implored, rallying the spirits of the fallen. Isis nodded, determination blazing in her heart. "Then let us weave our fates together, for the Nile, for life itself," she proclaimed, embracing the spirits of the warriors who had answered her call. Gathering their collective strength, they surged forward as one, a radiant force against the encroaching darkness. But as they neared Seth, the ground trembled, and the rift widened, threatening to consume everything. Seth, sensing his impending defeat, unleashed one final, desperate blast of chaos. The land shook violently, and the very fabric of the world threatened to unravel. But as the darkness surged forth, Isis and her spirits channeled the essence of the Nile, coalescing their energies into a single, brilliant beam of light. With a cry that echoed through the ages, they struck. The collision of light and dark was a cataclysmic explosion of divine power, a moment that would be sung about in the halls of gods and men for eternity. But as the dust settled, a singular truth emerged. While the battle had been fierce, the war was far from over. Shadows still lingered, and the treachery of Seth cast a long shadow over the horizon. The balance of the world hung by a fragile thread, and destiny awaited its next act. Thus, the saga of Isis, the goddess of the Nile, and her brother Seth, the harbinger of chaos, began a new chapter, one where the threads of fate would weave a tale of honor, tragedy, and the relentless struggle for balance in a world forever marked by their rivalry. As dawn broke over the Nile, the horizon glimmered with a shimmering veil of gold, masking the remnants of the fierce battle that had transpired. The air was thick with the scent of scorched earth and lingering darkness, a reminder of Seth's treachery. Isis stood at the river's edge, her heart heavy with the weight of loss. Though she had repelled Seth's monstrous army, the cost was great. Many of the spirits of the fallen had vanished back into the ether, their sacrifice a bittersweet liquor. Thoth approached, his gaze piercing as he regarded her with uncharacteristic solemnity. "Isis, the dawn reveals not just victory but a deeper peril," Thoth said, his voice grave. "Seth's rift is not merely a passage to darkness, it is a conduit. His power will grow, feeding upon fear and despair. We must act before his shadow stretches even further." Isis nodded, the fire of determination igniting within her. "Then we shall not rest, we will gather the gods and prepare for the storm to come. I will not allow Seth's chaos to drown our world." With newfound resolve, Isis called forth the authority of Ra, the sun god, seeking counsel among the celestial corps. As she climbed the steps of the temple of Karnak, the air crackled with anticipation. She entered the sacred hall, where gods and goddesses gathered, their faces illuminated by the golden rays that filtered through the grand openings. "Listen to me, my kin." Isis addressed them, her voice resonating with strength. "Seth has unleashed chaos upon our world. His ambition knows no bounds, and we must unite to restore balance. We are the guardians of this land, and it is our duty to protect it." A ripple of murmurs spread through the assembly, doubt mingling with concern. Anubis, standing beside her, raised his staff. "We cannot falter in our resolve. Seth's chaos thrives on division. We must present a united front." "Peace, Anubis," spoke Hathor, the goddess of love and joy, a soothing voice calming the tension in the room. "Yet how do we combat a force so malevolent? He is the shadow that preys upon our fears. Each heart that trembles feeds his darkness." A figure cloaked in shimmering silver stepped forward as Sekhmet, the lioness goddess of war, her presence like a tempest contained. Then we will incite courage. Let us summon the might of the warriors who have fought against Seth before. We shall awaken the guardians of all, the champions of the Nile who will stand by our side. Isis's heart soared with hope. Yes, the guardians of the past will lend us their strength. We shall awaken their spirits and rally them for the battle ahead. With the support of the gods, they began the sacred rituals, calling upon the ancient warriors whose valor had once filled the Nile with life. As they chanted, the air grew thick with energy, and the waters of the Nile shimmered, revealing the ghostly figures of heroes long fallen. From the depths emerged Hornheb, a warrior king whose fierce loyalty to the Nile was legendary. I heed your call, goddess, he declared, his voice echoing like thunder. I shall stand with you until my last breath. Beside him materialized Seth, the fierce protector, her sword glinting with celestial light. We shall not allow Seth to drown the Nile in darkness. Together, we will turn the tide. As the ranks of ancient champions swelled, Isis felt the weight of destiny upon her shoulders. The power of the past intertwined with her resolve, forging a bond that transcended time. But she could sense Seth's dark presence lurking, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. Across the barren desert, Seth stood upon a cliff overlooking the Nile, his fury bubbling like a cauldron. They gathered their forces, those foolish deities, he sneered, his fingers tapping against his jagged crown. They think they can challenge the storm I have unleashed, but I shall show them the true meaning of despair. Summoning the very shadows that thrived in his heart, Seth unleashed a torrent of chaos upon the land. Sandstorms roared to life, swirling violently as tendrils of darkness crept toward the riverbank. The shadows took form, twisting into grotesque creatures of despair, each one a manifestation of the fears that lay within the hearts of mortals. As the landscape trembled, the champions of the Nile stood prepared, their spirits ignited with the determination that coursed through their veins. Isis raised her arms high, calling forth the radiant essence of the river. With the strength of the Nile, we shall vanquish the darkness. The warriors surged forward, the sound of their battle cries echoing like a symphony of valor across the fields. The first clash of light against shadow was a cataclysmic roar, the forces colliding with the might of the gods themselves. In the midst of the chaos, Seth's monstrous creations lunged at the champions, their eyes burning with malevolence. Hornheb swung his sword, cleaving through the shadows, while Aset danced with deadly grace, her movements a blur as she struck down the creatures that threatened them. To the river! Isis commanded, her voice cutting through the clamor. We must harness its power to push back the darkness. As they fought their way toward the banks of the Nile, Thoth's voice pierced through the din. Isis, we must channel the essence of the river. It flows through us as we fight. Let us invoke its strength. Isis closed her eyes, feeling the lifeblood of the Nile surge within her. The shimmering waters called to her, offering their wealth of life and hope. Together, we shall weave a barrier of light, she cried. The warriors formed a circle at the edge of the river, their hands joined, drawing strength from the very essence of the Nile. As they breathed in unison, the waters began to glow, a brilliant light radiating from their joined souls. Seth, sensing the shift in power, unleashed his fury, but it was too late. The barrier of light surged forth, a wall of radiant energy that washed over the encroaching darkness, illuminating the landscape with blinding brilliance. The shadows shrieked and recoiled, their forms disintegrating into nothingness as the barrier expanded. Now, strike! Isis commanded, her voice a clarion call that echoed throughout the battlefield. With the combined might of the river, the champions surged forward, cutting through Seth's remaining forces like a scythe through wheat. Amidst the chaos, Seth's laughter rang out, chilling and filled with rage. You think you can defeat me with mere light? I am the storm, the chaos that births creation. You will fall before my wrath. As he spoke, he called forth a tempest, swirling winds that threatened to tear the champions apart. Yet Isis, her heart light with the strength of the Nile, stood firm. Together, we are the unity that overcomes chaos. We are the light that drives away despair, she declared, her voice a beacon of hope amidst the storm. In that moment, she summoned the full strength of the Nile, pouring forth its energy into a concentrated beam, a manifestation of their collective will. The beam shot forth, piercing the heart of the tempest like a divine arrow, striking Seth with unyielding power. Caught off guard, Seth staggered back, fury etched across his face. No, this cannot be. I am the master of chaos. But as the light enveloped him, something shifted within his essence. The shadows he commanded began to turn against him, losing their will as the purity of the Nile surged forth. Return to the void from whence you came, Isis proclaimed, her voice powerful and steady. The light intensified, swallowing Seth's chaotic form, unraveling the very fabric of his existence. With a final scream that echoed through the realms, Seth was consumed by the light, his essence scattered like ashes upon the wind. The tempest that had threatened to engulf the Nile dissipated, leaving only calm waters in its wake. As silence fell, the champions stood in awe, the weight of their triumph settling upon them like a warm embrace. The Nile flowed steadily once more, its waters shimmering like liquid gold beneath the sun. Isis, breathless but proud, turned to her companions, tears glistening in her eyes. "We have overcome the darkness, but we must remain vigilant. Seth's ambition may be thwarted, but his treachery has left scars upon our land." Anubis stepped forward, his presence comforting. "We shall guard the realm together, for as long as the Nile flows, so too shall our unity prevail." With the spirits of ancient warriors standing by her side, Isis knew that the battle was won, but the story was far from over. The lessons learned would echo through time, forging a legacy of honor, tragedy, and the relentless pursuit of balance in a world shaped by gods and men. Thus, as the sun set over the Nile, the tale of Isis and her triumph against Seth'S treachery became a beacon of hope, a melody sung in every village and whispered in every heart, a reminder that even in the depths of darkness, light could always rise again. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an ethereal glow over the Nile, the air seemed to hum with the remnants of the battle that had just transpired. The water shimmered with a newfound vibrancy, a mirror reflecting the resilience of life itself. Yet, amidst the quietude, the shadows still whispered secrets of betrayal and treachery, remnants of the chaos that Seth had wrought upon the land. Isis stood on the banks of the Nile, her heart heavy but her spirit buoyed by the triumph of the moment. "We may have vanquished Seth for now, but I fear this is but a fleeting lull," she mused, her voice barely above a whisper. The waters lapped gently at her feet, as if echoing her sentiments. Thoth, the ever-watchful god of wisdom, approached her, his keen eyes reflecting the concern that weighed on them all. "Isis, we have only staved off a greater calamity. Seth's treachery runs deeper than mere ambition. It is rooted in chaos that feeds upon despair. We must be prepared for his return." Her gaze shifted towards the horizon, where the last vestiges of daylight surrendered to night. "Then we will prepare. I will summon the strength of our allies. Together, we shall fortify our resolve against the storm he will undoubtedly unleash." With renewed determination, Isis turned and beckoned to the spirits of the ancient warriors. "Hormheb, ask at Sekhmet to gather the strength of our kin, for the time has come to forge a new alliance." The air stirred with energy as the ghostly figures materialized, their forms shimmering within the fading light. Hormheb, with his fierce demeanor, stepped forward, his sword gleaming like the sun's last rays. "We stand ready, goddess. The Nile flows through our veins, and we shall protect it with our very lives." Aset nodded, her expression fierce. "Let us not forget the lessons of the past. Each battle fought bears scars, but they also weave strength into our resolve. We will not falter." Sekhmet, or Linus, spirit burning with ferocity, raised her voice. "Let us rally the warriors of the land. From the heart of every village, we will summon hope and courage. Chaos thrives on despair. We shall extinguish that flame." Isis smiled, her heart swelling with pride as she witnessed the unity of ancient guardians. "Then we shall light the fires of rebellion within every heart," she declared, her voice resonating with power. "Let our voices call through the streets. Let every mortal and divine being know that we stand united against Seth's darkness." As the night deepened, the gods spread their influence across the realm. Flames flickered in the hearths of homes, casting shadows that danced upon the walls, echoes of warriors, old and young, gathering to heed the call of their goddess. Within the heart of the bustling city of Thebes, mortals whispered of an impending storm. The streets were alive with fervor, each voice a note in a symphony of hope. "The Nile will rise, the gods are with us," they proclaimed, their spirits ignited by the promise of unity. Yet, lurking beyond the mortal realm, in the desolate embrace of the desert, Seth brooded over his defeat. His once mighty form now flickered like a distant flame, lost amidst the darkness. "They celebrate the hollow victory," he sneered, his voice a venomous hiss that sliced through the stillness. "But they know not the depths of despair I can unleash." In that moment of rage, he conjured shadows that writhed and danced at his command, forming grotesque beings that twisted from the very essence of fear and chaos. "Arise, my brethren, we shall sweep across the land like a plague, and in our wake, we will snuff out the light of hope." As the shadows coalesced into monstrous forms, Seth's laughter echoed through the night, a chilling reminder of his malevolence. "Let them gather their forces. I will tear apart their unity with the very fears they cling to." Meanwhile, in Thebes, Isis and her gathered champions stood atop a grand dais, overlooking the throngs of villagers who had come to witness their resolve. "Hear me, sons and daughters of Egypt," Isis proclaimed, her voice carrying across the sea of faces. "Tonight we stand as when the darkness may threaten our land, but we shall not be cowed. Together, we shall be the light." A roar of approval erupted from the crowd, the sound swelling like the Nile, filling every heart with invigorating hope. But just as their spirits soared, a deafening rumble echoed through the air. The ground quaked beneath their feet, and dread descended like a shroud. "Prepare yourselves," Anubis called out, his voice steady amidst the turmoil. "Seth approaches with the storm of chaos." Before the words had fully left his lips, the sky darkened, swirling with shadows as if the very fabric of reality had been torn asunder. A tempest brewed on the horizon, its winds howling like tormented souls. "Warriors, stand firm!" Isis shouted, raising her arms high to summon the light of the Nile. "Let it flow through us, we shall not falter." The champions gathered, their energy coalescing into a radiant shield, a barrier of light against the encroaching darkness. The shadows surged forward, monstrous forms twisting and writhing, their eyes burning with malevolence. Seth'S laughter echoed, a chilling symphony that reverberated through the chaos. "You think your light can save you? I will unleash the fears you harbor, and in that dread, I will feast." With a wave of his hand, he conjured nightmarish visions that clawed at the minds of the warriors, bringing forth their deepest fears. The air filled with anguished cries as those who stood beside Isis faltered, doubt gnawing at their resolve. Set, trembling yet determined, spoke through gritted teeth. "We cannot give in to fear. Remember the Nile's flow. It has always persevered. Let our fears become the fuel for our strength." Isis felt the tremor of uncertainty ripple through her companions, but she stood resolute. "Focus on the light. Let it drown out the shadows. Together, we shall rise above." As darkness threatened to consume them, the unity of the warriors fortified their spirits. With a collective roar, they pushed against the tide of despair, their resilience igniting the very core of the Nile. "Now, call upon the essence of the river," Thoth urged, guiding their focus. "Let it flow through you, and let our voices rise as one." Isis closed her eyes and envisioned the Nile, the lifeblood of the land, coursing through her veins. "With the strength of the river, we shall banish this darkness." The warriors joined hands, their energies intertwining like the currents of the great river. A radiant beam of light surged forth, piercing the tempest that threatened to engulf them. Seth, caught off guard by the brilliance, snarled, "No, I will not be extinguished. I am chaos incarnate." But the light surged forward, an unstoppable tide. "Your chaos cannot withstand the unity of our hearts." Isis cried, her voice resonating with divine power. The impact was cataclysmic, a brilliant explosion that illuminated the night sky. Waves of light cascaded over the monstrous shadows, unraveling their forms as they screamed in despair. Yet within the maelstrom, Seth'S fury boiled over. "You will pay for this," he roared, his voice laced with desperation. "This is not the end, it is merely the beginning of my vengeance." As the shadows dissipated, the tempest began to calm, the winds quieted as the light pushed back against the darkness. But even as victory loomed, a foreboding chill settled in the air. "Together, we have triumphed," Isis proclaimed, her voice ringing with fierce resolve. "But we must remain vigilant, for Seth's ambition is relentless. We will forge new alliances, strengthen our bonds, and be prepared for the battles to come." As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the champions stood united, their spirits intertwined in a tapestry of hope and resilience. The battle against Seth's darkness may have been won, but the war for the balance of the world had only just begun. And so, as the Nile flowed steadily beneath the rising sun, the tale of Isis and her champions continued a saga woven with threads of destiny, honor, and the unyielding spirit of perseverance that would echo through the ages, for generations to come. As dawn's first light kissed the banks of the Nile, a stark peace settled over the land, yet a palpable tension hung in the air. The echoes of battle still reverberated in the hearts of the gods and mortals alike, a reminder of the chaos that had been unleashed. Isis, standing at the river's edge, gazed out over the shimmering waters, feeling the weight of destiny press upon her shoulders. "Isis," Thoth spoke, his voice tinged with urgency. He approached her, his ibis head tilting slightly as if sensing a disturbance in the fabric of reality. "We must not underestimate Seth. His darkness may be temporarily quelled, but the heart of chaos is a cunning foe." Isis turned to face him, her golden gown glimmering in the soft light. "I know this, Thoth, but we have emerged victorious. The unity we forged in battle is stronger than the seeds of discord he sows. We must rally our strength and prepare for his inevitable return." With that, the goddess turned her attention to the assembled warriors of the Nile, their ethereal forms flickering with newfound vigor. Hormheb, Aset, and Sekhmet stood resolute, ready to heed her call. "Brothers and sisters, we have faced darkness and emerged into the light. Today, we strengthen our resolve, for the storm looms on the horizon." As her words echoed through the air, the warriors raised their weapons, spirits forged of honor and valor. "Let the Nile flow through us, we are its protectors," they shouted, their voices merging into a powerful chorus that resonated across the land. But as their spirits soared, a chilling wind swept over the Nile, casting a shroud of unease upon the warriors. From the very depths of the desert, a dark figure emerged to Seth, his form wreathed in shadows, eyes gleaming like burning coals. "Foolish gods and heroes," he sneered, his voice a sinister melody that danced through the air. "Did you think you could cast me aside so easily? I am chaos incarnate, and I will make you weep for your hope." Isis felt the shiver run through her, but she stood firm, her resolve steeling against the encroaching darkness. "We will not cower before you, Seth. You may wield chaos, but we are bound by the light of the Nile. We are united in purpose, and together we shall prevail." Seth's laughter cascaded like thunder, a harbinger of a storm to come. "Then let us see how united you truly are." With a flick of his wrist, the ground beneath them trembled, a ripple of dark energy surging forth as he summoned forth twisted monstrosities, creatures of shadow, born from the very essence of fear. The air crackled with malevolence as the shadows took form, grotesque beings with the elongated limbs and eyes that glowed with hunger. "To your places, champions," Anubis commanded, raising his staff as the warriors braced themselves for the onslaught. "We will not yield to despair." As the first wave of shadows surged forward, Horemheb charged into battle, his sword gleaming with the light of the Nile. With every swing, he cleaved through the darkness, his battle cry echoing like a beacon of hope. For the Nile, he roared, striking down the first of the creatures with a fierce blow. As it danced through the chaos, her blade a blur of silver as she dispatched the monsters that lunged at her. "Fear not, my comrades, we are the guardians of this land, and we shall not falter." Her voice rang with fierce determination, igniting the hearts of her fellow warriors. Sekhmet unleashed her own ferocity, a lioness growl resonating through the battlefield as she charged forward. "Let the light of our spirits burn bright against this darkness." With a powerful swipe of her claws, she tore through the gnarled forms of the shadows, scattering them like leaves before the wind. Yet amidst the chaos, Seth watched with a twisted smile, reveling in the discord he had unleashed. "You cling to hope as a drowning man clings to a single straw. I shall teach you the meaning of true despair." He raised his hands, conjuring dark storms that swirled above, thickening the air with dread. Isis felt the weight of his power, the shadows clawing at the edges of her mind, whispering doubts and fears. "We must stay united," she shouted, rallying her warriors. "Channel the power of the Nile, focus on the light within us." The spirits of the warriors closed ranks, drawing strength from their bond. Together, they formed a radiant barrier, a shining wall of light that pushed back against the encroaching shadows. "Now," Isis cried, her voice piercing the chaos. "Let the essence of the Nile surge through us." As if responding to her call, the waters of the Nile shimmered, a brilliant blue that glowed with life. The warriors raised their hands, pulling the energy of the river into their hearts. The light swelled, breaking through the darkness, illuminating the battlefield with blinding brilliance. Seth felt the tides turning against him, rage boiling within him. "You think you're like extinguish my chaos? I will show you the depths of your fears." He unleashed a torrent of dark energy that surged toward the light, the two forces colliding in a cataclysmic explosion. The collision sent shockwaves through the battlefield, the very earth trembling beneath their feet. But amidst the chaos, Isis stood firm, channeling the energy of the Nile into a single, concentrated beam of light. "Together, we are the guardians of hope. We shall not be consumed." With a cry of defiance, she unleashed the beam, a radiant arrow that surged through the darkness, striking Seth with unyielding force. The darkness around him recoiled, hissing like a wounded beast, but he would not yield. "This is not over," he roared, his form flickering as the light battered against him. But the unity of the warriors behind Isis was unbreakable. They surged forward, their spirits intertwining with the light, creating a wave of energy that pushed against the darkness. For the Nile, they yelled, their voices a symphony of defiance. As the light enveloped Seth, the darkness began to unravel, tendrils of chaos retreating into the void from whence they came. He writhed against the onslaught, fury etched upon his face. "You will pay for this, sister. I will return, and when I do, chaos shall reign." With a final scream, the shadows disintegrated around him, but even as Seth was cast back into the abyss, the remnants of his darkness lingered, whispering dread into the hearts of the warriors. The battlefield fell silent, the warriors standing breathless, the air thick with the aftermath of their struggle. Isis, her heart pounding with the weight of victory, turned to her champions, tears glistening in her eyes. "We have won this battle, but we must remain vigilant. Seth's chaos may be abated, but his hunger for power will always endure." Anubis stepped forward, a steadfast presence amidst the fading chaos. "We shall forge alliances anew, gather strength from every corner of the realm. The balance we protect must never falter again." But as the sun began to rise higher in the sky, casting golden rays over the battlefield, the shadows that had retreated began to coalesce once more, whispering secrets of fear. Isis felt a chill running down her spine, her intuition warning her of the trials yet to come. "Gather the mortals," she commanded, her voice unwavering. "We must unite the hearts of our people. Together, we stand stronger." As her warriors rallied the mortals, the Nile flowed steadily, its waters a reminder of the life that sustained them. The villagers, emboldened by the gods' presence, gathered in throngs, their voices rising in a call for unity. "Together, we are the light," they proclaimed, their hearts igniting with hope. Yet in the shadows beyond the horizon, Seth'S plotting his vengeance. They may revel in their fleeting victory, but the storm that lurks within my grasp will tear their unity apart. I will return, and chaos will reign supreme. Thus, as the sun shone brightly upon the Nile, the tale of Isis and her champions continued, a saga woven with threads of destiny, honor, and the unyielding spirit of perseverance. The battles fought would echo through the ages, marking the struggles between light and dark, chaos and order, in a world forever changed by the gods and their relentless pursuit of balance.